Okay, here we go. Hello and welcome back to the Bad Decisions Club presents Dungeons and Dragons. That's right, we have returned for Meepo's wedding, and with me I have my wonderful wayward wedding goers. Hey, say hello, wonderful wayward wedding goers. Right. That's technically not a copyright violation. Friends, Jeff, let's start with you. Who are you? Who are you playing today?
Oh yes, hello. Hi, I'm Jeff Holland. I'll be playing our sorcerer, Calder Creed. He's our resident sorcerer, and all around probably a lot cooler than I am right now. It's very warm.
That's fair. That's fair. It's 106
It's
here in
been
Sacramento. It's rough. It's been no bad Gale. Speaking of Gale, who are you? Who are you playing? You just volunteered.
Hi, I'm Gail or Olivia, and I am playing Echo, the Goblin tonight. And it's also been 105 where I live, so that's been great. I will be using this fan. I'm sorry if the image is weird. I need it.
I walk outside and it feels like I'm being physically assaulted. Jen, tell me it's a little bit cooler where you live.
It is. It's been a little bit cooler the last couple of days. We have not been getting. We've been getting in the 90s. Some of the days the quotient has been in the hundreds, but it's not nearly as bad as it is where you guys are. Thank God.
Who are you? Who are you playing?
I'm Jen Winter Rose, also known as the Swedish Geek Ball. I am playing mostly tonight Krita, and then possibly a bit of Clarion for flavor. And
I admit I feel really sorry for folks that might just be picking up on our series now because we have so many characters that we've established over the course of years. Yes, excellent. Kretha, Clarion, gonna be a lot of who is coincidentally named the same as a silver dragon that is an ally of yours, also named Clarion. These things
that
happen.
didn't make it weird at all.
No relation. Might
And
be an inspiration.
might be a namesake. Yeah.
We don't know if there's no relation. Dragons live a long time.
That's also true. I just turned my volume up a little bit, so hopefully I'm at the same level as all of you. Sorry if I was a little bit quiet there. Audio is always like my thing, right? That's what always goes wrong. So it's been a while since we last recorded, and our last session was actually broken into two pieces. So we're going to do our recap, and we're all going to struggle to remember a little bit about what happened because I have not watched the VOD recently. It's up on youtube.com/gamingmathematically. Nailed it. Okay. So last time you made your way to Meepo's wedding. I think you actually started in Mirabar where you were talking with Clarion and Felgolos, but that feels like forever ago. And you made your way to the Sunless Citadel, which is in much better repair than it was the first time you were there. You had a few nostalgia moments as you walked through the dungeon that almost killed you a few times, with the bard that almost killed you once, and looked at the cold room of bad ideas, which is just a regular room of normal ideas now, and the spider den where Echo was tied up when you first met him, and is not a spider den anymore, and you kind of were mingling.
And the fountains produce water and not fire-breathing potion, which I find disappointing.
And not only did you meet up with one of Calder's siblings, whose name is Antimony, I believe.
Yes.
Yep.
Damn, I am so good right now. I cannot believe I remembered that name.
My dear baby sister.
And also a surprising number of like official-looking delegates from around the Sword Coast are attending this wedding in the Sunless Citadel. We haven't come up with any like specific names yet, but of course you met Meepo, who is the one getting married. You got to reunite with Erky Timbers, who swore he would never come back to the Sunless Citadel, but is doing so to run the wedding for his dear friend Meepo. And as the wedding got started, there were some earthquakes happening, and just as Calder was about to stand up and give a heartfelt speech about this wonderful little kobold who is getting married today, the area was attacked by an ancient red dragon, which was actually kind of an avatar for one of the like giant mythic dragons that don't even exist on this plane anymore. So
Ashardalon.
Ashardalon, the Red Dragon. Yes, to whom the Sunless Citadel was originally dedicated, and coming back as very old dragons are wont to do and reclaiming territory it no longer has any right to. And between you three and Felgalos and Dragon Clarion, you were able to take it down. Yeah?
Well, let's not underplay the
and Meepo
the
and
white
Calcrix,
dragon
of course,
that
yes.
we buffed to hell and back.
Yes, that's right. Okay. So one of the first things you did was you took the Potion of Giant Size, which is a holdover from Storm King's Thunder, and took Calcrix, who is like horse-sized right now, and grew her to huge size. Still not as big as Ashardalon, who is colossal size, but big enough to be able to maintain a grapple, which is kind of how this fight went. You were all able to utilize action economy and some really lucky rolls or some unlucky rolls when it comes to the Hound of Ill Omen to keep Ashardalon on the ground for most of the fight.
I'm just saying, the direwolf tripped the dragon.
And kept him from, like, when he finally flew up into the air to use his breath weapon, I believe Hold Monster came in.
Yep, that's where...
Because he had burned through all of his legendary resistances at that point, and you took him down. And I also want to mention, Calcrix, Meepo was a pretty big superstar there. All of you
Meepo
really
tanked.
pulled. Meepo took so much damage. And that was how that went. You won the fight against Ashardalon's avatar, sort of establishing your right, at least in his eyes, to own this thing that was once his. And now we are going to descend back into the Sunless Citadel and give this ceremony another try. But first, is there anything I missed? Any details that you want to remind us of? Anything you want to share about last session? Anything I forgot about?
Just that, people who came with us also includes Barnabas and his, royal retinue to, give support behind Meepo. So they are here too.
Yes. Yep. Yes, and we also have Ghost and Lore are in attendance. Though since M is not feeling well, they will not be here today, but they are still there in the background, so we should reference them every now and then.
We're just assuming much alcohol is being consumed.
Oh yeah, this is a whole ass party happening, right? Or at least it will be once the ceremony gets done. And
there was the ceremony, there was the reception, there was the victory celebration.
Well, we're getting to that.
Yeah, I think that's where we're going to be going right now. So I'm going to go ahead and jump into the game board, and we will get started. Oh, right. My stream deck is not working, so I'm going to click it over here like a peasant. Friends, we begin our story tonight back in the audience chamber of Meepo and Yusdrael, which has been repurposed as a ceremony hall. Now, the last time you were here, Calcrix was kind of curled up in the back, but unfortunately, or potentially fortunately, Calcrix is now huge size and cannot fit up into this room. And the area is I described it as empty last time, which is not entirely correct. It's empty of objects for the most part. Rows of benches, the raised altar at the front where Meepo is now once again standing with his bride-to-be Yusdrael and the priest Urki Timbers. And the room is full of people and kobolds, and all sorts of different types. Especially now, and they're all sort of muttering back and forth to each other because of the fight that just happened, and everyone is abuzz talking about it. Tell me a little bit about how the three of you situate yourselves as Urki and Meepo are chatting and getting ready to restart the ceremony.
I think as everybody started heading back inside, the fight was decided. Echo found Kretha and is like, "Hey, are you okay? Did you get hurt at all in that? I saw you making some crazy cartwheels and flips during the fight, but are you okay? Are you good?"
Stop the dragon!
You took it out. You did the final blow.
I did the final blow. Everybody else
I'm-
did much more, but that was an experience I will not forget.
One might say I landed the final blow, says Durgadin the Blade, who is currently a hand crossbow again now, right?
Yes. Yes. Would have gone back to
One might say.
One might say yes. You did very well. I am very
I
proud
would
of
say you were the final blow.
So how
How
does
are
dragon?
you? You were are you
Oh,
okay?
I got a little bashed around.
Just
I'm gonna take a second, and Echo uses his wholeness of body monk ability to just take like 6 seconds and like heal himself for 24 points of damage, and he had 22. So
Calder will look around the room and go, excuse me, I think I'm going to have to do something so we can resume this right away. He'll concentrate for a few seconds and cast Seeing.
Okay.
He'll spread his magic across the crowd, and everybody who was even very slightly smudged from the horrible violence, but probably most notably Meepo, is cleaned up, done up, looking great.
Nice. Excellent. Everyone's looking their tip top.
very nice. Very nice.
Like all of the ruffled clothes are now unruffled. Everything that was out of place back in place. Everybody looks gorgeous.
that's better. At least it looks better. I feel better. Okay. You know
But
what? We just,
it'll last for as long as we need it.
that's fair.
Someone got into the wine, which was technically for the reception, but as things stand right now, there are bottles being opened and enjoyed by some folks
Pastor.
because of certain events that just occurred. You're not
Yeah.
sure who started opening the bottles of wine, but they're open now.
So can we talk a moment about the fact that was a very large, very old dragon that
A very
we've just
A historically very famous dragon.
what in the world?
I mean,
I knew that I was concerned about there being danger at Meepo's wedding. I did not calculate this into my danger calculations. I have
Well, I
to
don't
say, I need to think that
I don't think anyone could have predicted this. I was born here. I grew up here. You know, we came back here when we like kind of freed the place of Belak. Like, fucking Ashardalon left this place eons ago. Who the fuck was supposed to figure that out? Like,
Millennia, I think, but yes.
same diff. No one here even knew, you know,
Jen-
the place has a lot more red
the-
dragons on the walls and shit.
The
but,
elves,
like,
the youngest elves alive then are dead of old age now. I know.
right? Like, fuck. If he had wanted his name to stay on the place, maybe he should have put it on the place better.
so
His face is
Clarion.
literally carved on most of the surfaces.
Red dragon.
Clarion
saying.
comes.
I mean, I would be disingenuous if I didn't say it was literally his face carved on everything.
I would say a lot of these carvings don't look like each other.
Clarion comes
The important
absolutely
ones
full
do.
of alcohol, bringing his half-dead self over, and he's like, "This is gonna make the best fucking song I have ever written." Oh. Meepo's wedding will not be forgotten across the continent, and I knew that was going to be like that beforehand, but
Well, when you
It's,
get done with the composition, give me a copy to give to my circus group. I'm pretty sure they could use it.
oh no, it's going
Yeah.
everywhere.
This is one of those stories that is a very good omen.
This is
friends,
actually really good wine.
The
I hope they've got more for the reception because it's going fast.
mystery solved.
And he drunk walks his way the other way.
Calder will say, mystery solved.
Now the question is how is he drunk?
Not questioning it.
Because he is.
I have
What?
learned never to underestimate Clarion's ability to get fucked up. So
Erky will turn to the crowd and say, "Guests, if you would go ahead and take your seats. I think we're about ready to get started once again. And thank you all for your patience in this somewhat trying time."
Calder will reach out a hand, take his broom, sit on it, and just elevate to the side.
Yeah, I think Echo's gonna.
At this point, I think I've earned it.
Yeah. Before Echo was kind of to like the middle to the back, he's gonna take one of the seats in the front this time. Like, something about fighting a dragon kind of settled his nerves.
And Erky will say, "Well, I promised myself that I would never come back to the Sunless Citadel because I felt like every time I did, something very bad happened. And so far, that record is still unbroken, but it is still..."
I would argue the defeat of the dragon was a very good thing, Erky.
"It is still my honor to continue this wedding ceremony for Meepo and Eustrial. Meepo, you're sure you're all right?" "Yes." "Okay. Where were we? Yes. So, in lieu of an ordinary wedding service, Meepo has asked that his clan, his kin, his friends, would share their well wishes for him and for his family and for his clan before he makes his speech. And okay. Would anybody like to start?"
I believe it was me that was interrupted.
Yes, indeed. Please, Mr. Creed, stand.
Calder will sit hovering over everything and then sigh, lower himself to the ground, step off.
I mean, or not. It's up to you.
I was asked to stand. He'll turn to the group and, with a dashing smile, "Greetings, everyone."
When
that was exciting.
So you say "Greetings, everyone," and again, I want to you now have the undivided attention of the entire room. As you're looking around, again, you're seeing people of all sorts of different species, ancestries. You're seeing kobolds, you're seeing humans, you're seeing elves and dwarves, and you're seeing uniforms and livery from a bunch of different areas of the Sword Coast. This is a surprisingly diverse crowd.
Most of you know me by reputation. Some of you have the pleasure or displeasure of knowing me personally, and a few of you have only heard the wisps of tales. But I am here not to talk about me. I'm here to talk about Meepo, my dear friend. He was quite literally the very first person I've ever saved. I have walked the Faerun and I have done many adventures, but Meepo will always have a special place in my heart because we are always defined by who we decide to be. And as an outcast, I saw Meepo crying, alone, and afraid, and decided that I did not want him to be that anymore. And I think that we can all agree that this now stands, and I'll turn to Meepo and grab him by his shoulders, that he is my finest success. Because he defeated a motherfucking red ancient dragon today.
Meepo smiles.
Woo!
There's a round of applause.
I never ever want to hear a single word of self-doubt ever again from you.
Okay, friend Calder, okay.
Okay. Just remember.
Little sort of a chuckle goes over the crowd.
Just remember, you are my friend, and if you ever have need of me, you need only to call. If anybody here, I ask all of you, set this word far and wide, that if anyone dares fuck with Meepo or the kobolds of the Sunless Citadel, they will have my immediate attention. Thank you.
There's
Well,
a kind of a nervous laugh at that last.
So sit on his broom and resume back up to the rafters to watch.
Clarion ambles forward.
Yeah.
So
Still with alcohol in hand.
Erky's gonna say, well, I guess it isn't really much of a wedding unless at least one thread is made. Ah, yes, Master Bard.
Me. I was gonna sing that song. That was actually the plan. I had a whole ass plan. We all, I think, had a plan. But I got to sing it in a far more impressive situation, I feel like. And I'm not really gonna play my lute much longer right now because still, a lot of that kind of, I burst a couple of, you don't want to hear about that. Anyway. So I was there, obviously, with Calder and the whole crew. So really, on our first real adventure, you were there. You showed up middle of that situation, needing help. We were all just tripping over ourselves to give it to you because you're Meepo. We didn't even know then what kind of person you were. You very quickly showed that you were completely worthy of everything that you've received from then till now. I mean, like he said, you defeated a big ass red dragon. Your name will never be forgotten. Not just from your deeds, but I will make certain of it. That is one of my life goals now. So you know. Because yeah, I feel like I learned a lot from my experiences where I was with you. And it's a shame I didn't get to continue on. Had to go on to different things, but then you were there and you brought me back. One of the first faces I saw coming out of that darkness, and I was there to kind of save us, even though you spend all your time saying that you're nothing, and you're not. So I guess we're all here to just remind you you're awesome, and remind your lovely lady who I remember. So, saying, second threat, you be good to him. I know how these political managers work. You be good to him. Because he's worth it. And I was there for the whole nonsense at the beginning. And just because I'm drunk now doesn't mean I'm going to be drunk forever.
That gets a laugh and some applause. And
So,
Meepo will say, the day with friend Clarion and the Roper was the worst day of Meepo's life.
Well, if that is the worst day of your life, then the rest of your life will be the best days. And you deserve it. I'm sorry that was the worst day of your life, but wasn't really the best of mine either, but we all have our
But friend Clarion is here now.
yeah, again, thanks to you. Thanks to you. And now I can be here to help raise my family. Do the things that I need to do.
Like, I think Echo's trying to start a clap to get drunk Clarion to
to get off the stage.
Like there needs to be a like he no, I'm doing this on purpose.
Barnabas will step forward and
yes.
sort of take Clarion by the elbow and
Our Grand King, you're gonna say
sit him
something,
down.
it's your turn. And he hands the alcohol
he'll
to King Barnabas.
like a mic.
he'll shrug and take a swig out of it. And he'll say,
"You're not really sure what's in it. You know part of it is the wine, but it's not all the wine."
Look, Barnabas says, I seen a lot of warriors. I've fought beside and against some of the best. But I gotta say, I've only met one man who would walk into a room with a hostile dragon, no matter what age, alone. Look, he turns to the crowd. Like many others, I was brought up to see kobolds as enemies, as obstacles, as vermin to be exterminated so that we dwarves can occupy the space that they called their own. It took a kobold of incredible courage and valor and heart to show this old king the error of his ways. And it took a couple of goblins to hammer the point home. He turns to Echo and Creetha. The point is, the Boulder Shoulders are proud to be the first to ally with Meepo and the Calcrix clan. And I suspect we'll be far from the last. He turns to Meepo and he says, congratulations, kid. You did good. And he resumes his seat as polite applause scatters through the room. Yes, Erky will say, is there anybody else who wishes to share a few words?
Echo will look at Creetha and be
And
like,
Creetha's looking at us. We're both pointing at each other.
And as you're looking at each other, another voice comes from sort of a little bit further back in the room that says, I got something to say.
okay, who is it? Echo stands on the bench to look. Who the fuck is it?
a gentleman stands up who is wearing these sort of steampunk-esque goggles on his forehead. I have some media for this, so this is going to take a moment to set up. I will probably put in a cut, so we will be right back.
So, I'm supposed to be giving a speech. It's me, Sebastian Crow. A lot of you are probably wondering what I'm doing at this wedding. You see, me and Meepo, we go way back. Meepo was a kobold, I guess he still is a kobold, but he was a kobold that I came across in my adventures, and I stabbed him in the throat with a dagger because I thought he was a monster. We didn't really get along for a while after that. I kind of just left him to die. So it was a few years later that I ran into Meepo again at a bar, a tavern. I was sitting there having a glass of wine, and Meepo walks in. And everybody goes, oh, hey, Meepo, how's it? And I go, oh, no, a monster. And I stabbed him in the throat again. Doesn't sound like a likely story for a friendship, but we ran into each other a third time. And while he was cowering in fear after running into me and thinking that I was about to stab him in the throat for the third time, I realized that this was the same guy that I stabbed in the throat twice before. So I decided not to stab him in the throat, and we became good friends after that. And by good friends, I mean I didn't really see him for a while, but through the grapevine, a little crow told me that he was getting married, and it seems my invite got lost. I thought that after you stab a person in the throat once or twice, you kind of create an undying bond that makes you an obvious choice for an invite to the wedding. So, a lot of people are probably asking, what's Sebastian Crow doing here? He tried to murder Meepo twice, and then they ran into each other a third time, and he said, I will spare you, Meepo, but I don't ever want to see you again. But I did. That's how I make friends. A lot of people don't realize that. So I didn't get an invite to the wedding, but I knew that there would be free wine and food. And I'm not one to pass up free wine and food, so I found out where it was, and I came by, and I cast a spell on the person at the front door who had the guest list. So they are charmed right now. It's going to wear off in about 5 or 6 seconds. And once it wears off, they're going to become aware that I've cast a charm spell on them, which probably means security's going to be here to pull me out. Luckily, I've already made it through 3 to 4 bottles of wine, and I ate not only my meal, but there was a few people that weren't looking, so I may have grabbed their plates and eaten their meals as yeah? Okay, I see security. Security's coming right now. Meepo, I'm sorry that you misplaced my invitation, but I made it here anyway, and very happy to be here. I crossed off the name of, I think, like an uncle or something that was supposed to give a speech, and I put my name instead, so I hope that's okay. Okay, there's a lot of guards showing up. I'm going to go. Very happy for you and whoever it is you're marrying. All of you guests, very happy for your support of my friend Meepo. I'm just going to grab another few bottles of wine, and okay, I'll see you later.
And with that, he vanishes in a swirl of shadows and flame. From a mechanical perspective, he subtle casts teleport. And as he vanishes, all eyes kind of turn to Meepo. And Meepo looks around and goes, Meepo has never met that man in his life. So now that we're back, really quick, big thank you to Kelly McLaughlin for the cameo. That was his character, Sebastian Crow from Dungeons of Drakkenheim, another actual play that you should definitely check out. It was very awesome, and he was very cool for doing that and for giving us permission to use it in the actual play. So, yeah, he'll vanish. Meepo will say, I've never met that man before in my life, and
over the course of the man's speech, I hope you saw me pantomiming Calder doing something ready to smite this guy.
We'll talk about it more in the post game, but Sebastian Crow is actually a shadow sorcerer as well, funny enough.
I know. I am aware of him.
Well, that was something, I suppose.
Fuck that guy! Just out of the crowd.
By the way, while these speeches have been happening, Erky Timbers is casting a spell. He's being quiet about it, but he's casting the ceremony spell, right?
Yeah.
And sort of using the words that you're giving as a part of the the verbal components of the ritual that he's casting. Well, would anybody else like to share any words?
Echo will wave Kretha forward, like you first.
I guess it's me. All right. So Kretha comes forward, stands up. Meepo. One of the first I met, I was not a goblin. Deep in the darkness of a place that I now call home. What can I say about that? What can I say about watching you continue to grow? Even though I didn't quite understand where you had come from. I feel that there is some parallels between your journey and my journey, coming from places where we did not belong or felt we belonged, and making our way to or back to places that have somehow become home, and building a family along the way. And it's the family you build, the people that you bring together as your family or clan it's oftentimes more important, more impactful, more long-lasting than those that were there by blood. And now you are getting married and getting the chance to start truly your own chance at a blood family, at continuing on a line that will continue on, I feel, for a very long time. And I'm glad I got to see it. Got to be here for some, you know? I'm glad to be here. I am glad to see you becoming the person you are today.
Meepo is glad too. And there's more applause.
Is Pyre gonna say anything or give like a cheer from the back?
Jeff is AFK at the moment.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think Echo will reach into his bag of holding and pull out a stone plaque and hand the bag over to Kretha as she comes back to the seat and heads on up. And he will stop about 5 feet in front of Meepo and Eustriel, and he will call out in very loud Goblin. The equivalent of, "Hail, well met. I submit to your authority," and he will give a bow. And then he will turn to the crowd and present the plaque. And it is carved into the rock in both common, draconic, and goblin, is a declaration, and Echo will read it out loud, of, "As Eckhart, the last goblin war chief of the Sunless Citadel, I officially declare my rescindance of all rights of governing and holding of any part of the Sunless Citadel." It was a very long fight between the goblins and the kobolds here, spanning far back in generations on both sides of bloody conflict. And I am very proud to be ending it a year ago today without bloodshed, by agreement, by diplomacy, and by friendship. And he will turn and approach and get down on a knee and present the plaque to Eustriel.
She will step forward and she will take it somewhat reverently.
And Echo will stand. And he will clear his throat and say, "And on a more personal note, I don't like you, and I don't think I ever will. But I'm glad that I can dislike you, and we can still be in a room and celebrate each other's joys and not have to draw any sort of weapons." I hope this is the first of many happy days for you, your family, and your people. Meepo? Everyone's been singing your praises today, which they should. But honestly, I think the bravest thing you ever did was come back here and do what I was so afraid to do for 10 long years and face the horrors of this place and build something better. You are far braver than I ever will be. Thank you for having me here. Your home is lovely.
Thank you, friend Echo.
Yeah. Echo will just give him a hug.
Still holding the plaque, Eustrial will look to Meepo and look to the crowd, and she'll say, "When goblins took Calcrix, Eustrial was chief. Kobold tradition, going back hundreds of generations, say that when dragon escapes or is taken, dragon keeper must be exiled. Eustrial exiled Meepo. Eustrial was wrong. Tradition was wrong. Perhaps if Eustrial had rallied kobolds, acted like leader, the clan could have taken Calcrix back without requiring Meepo to face a dragon alone, without relying on generosity of kind strangers." She looks at our party as she says that last. "Kobold's strength lies in unity, not in tradition. Meepo helped Eustrial see. It is time for kobolds to change. It is time for a world to change. Eustrial believes that Meepo will bring light to the world, as he brought light to the Sunless Citadel and to Eustrial." She'll step back. And Erky Timbers will take one more look out across the crowd. And if no one else steps forward, he will motion to Meepo to make his speech. And Meepo, when he approaches, actually pulls out like a piece of paper on which there are scrawled notes, some of which, if you are very, very perceptive, have been hastily scrawled out and replaced probably in the last few minutes.
Uh-huh.
And Meepo clears his throat and slightly nervously at first begins. Esteemed guests, noble delegates, and dear friends. Today we gather not just to celebrate union, but to mark dawn of a new era. Perhaps it is appropriate that our new era began with the defeat of Ashardalon, a dragon of the old world. Our victory, won with the help of Meepo's wonderful friends and new allies, is a symbol of old ways making way for new. Meepo wishes to begin by expressing his deepest gratitude to the honored guests who have traveled so far to be here today. Thank you, Raynar Neverember of Waterdeep, Sildar Hallwinter of the Lord's Alliance, Erlintree of Neverwinter, Seelan Rawrim of Mirabar, and Corrin of Baldur's Gate. Your presence here is a great honor and a symbol of ties that we wish to strengthen. Meepo also extends his heartfelt thanks to King Barnabas and Regent Axel of the Nightscale clan for being first to formalize defense and trade alliances with Calcrick's clan. As Meepo stands before you, he is reminded that he would not be here without his friends. Friend Calder, friend Echo, friend Clarion, friend Hyacinth, who is home tending to his hatchlings, friend Lore, friend Charlotte, who is also not able to be here, friend Kretha. You showed Meepo that he could be more than the wretch that you found him as. You showed Meepo he could be strong, that he could change what it means to be Cobalt. For that, Meepo cannot thank you enough. Because of you, the Sunless Citadel, a place of slavery and dark magic, is now a beacon of hope and change in a hostile world. A place where old grudges and outdated traditions are replaced with wisdom, cooperation, and respect. Eustriel and Meepo, once adversaries, joined together in a bond that signifies understanding and change. Meepo and Eustriel look to the future, to a sword coast where all, no matter their race or their origin, can walk freely, without fear of swords, of arrows, or of daggers in the throat.
Yeah, fuck that guy.
Meepo dreams of a land where kobolds, humans, dwarves, elves, goblins, and all others can live in harmony, where friendship is stronger than fear and hate. Thank you for being here today, for supporting Meepo and Eustriel, and for believing in a brighter future. And he nods as the crowd begins to applaud. And as he steps back, Erky Timbers directs him and Eustriel to hold hands. And as part of the celebration ritual, he wraps a length of cord around their two hands, finishes the spell, and the cord and their hands for a moment glow with a warm light. And then the cord vanishes, leaving marks on their hands where they once lay, where the cords once lay.
Hey, quick question. What god does Erky follow?
I don't remember even a little bit. I don't
I have the
remember
book. Let me
even
look it
a
up.
little bit.
I believe it was
tales.
something.
I'll look it up.
I believe it's something boring.
Probably. It's probably like Paylor or something like that.
I'll find it.
Wrong universe, I think. Yeah.
While you're looking that up, immediate reactions from the crowd. Let's talk to Jen and Jeff. What are your characters up to as the celebration, or as the ceremony comes to a close, and then the celebration begins?
Aretha cries when that happens. All weepy. Clarion still absolutely 5 sheets to the wind. He was definitely leading the cheers. And now that the party has started, he's definitely wandering around, making sure. And it's like he's trying to get everyone else drunk too, because that's in his mind the perfect wedding.
It literally doesn't say in the book.
No.
He refers to it as my deity.
That is the Wow.
He worships Generica.
Erky. No.
Worships Coralon. Got it.
Yeah, I mean, that's honestly a gnome who is kind of specialized in healing. Coralon is really kind of the natural choice.
He's the leader of the elves. He's a very commonly worshipped deity. It's just he's a boring choice.
What's his name? Erky Timbers is not the most exciting of characters. He just wants to live his life.
He tried.
Honestly, he wants to be in the genre of like workplace comedy, and instead he is in an action adventure.
Calder and Calder and Pyre and Echo, talk to me a little bit about your first few moments after the ceremony ends.
As the ceremony ends, Calder will kind of keep his altitude as a distance because he just doesn't want to people. But he will eventually descend when the wine starts getting cracked out, and will interject himself at after finding the ideal bottle he wants to hunt down. We'll just lean down, take it, then hit elevation again, pour himself a glass because he's not a savage.
And how about Echo?
I think Echo goes and schmoozes. Like, he maybe first, because it's his city, he goes over to the nobles of Neverwinter that were pointed out and says hello, and will mention the circus guild he was in, the performers guild he was in for a long time, his specific circus troupe, a bitch about Neverwinter summers being way too damn hot, just like schmooze and do the being charismatic thing.
I am putting into the chat, the Fantasy Grounds chat, the names of the people that I name dropped. So there was Raynar Neverember of Waterdeep. I don't know most of these characters, by the way, but I'm happy to portray any of them with zero knowledge. I'm 100% on board.
Raynar is one of he's like a shipwright. He's like one of the dudes from he's like one of the Four Lords. It's like,
yeah, I think he's big of the dockside, like he's a big guild master or something.
I want to say that.
Yeah, merchant guild master.
Yeah, he's one of the Four Lords. That is not open knowledge, I don't think, because the Lords of Waterdeep are a secretive group of very influential, wealthy people who deliberately want no one to know they're in charge.
Yeah, there's the one
one open lord.
Yeah,
and the rest of them tend to stay in the shadows. There are rumors that Jarlaxle was one of them, or is one of them, or perhaps has been, may one day be one of them.
Yeah, I think.
And I'm sure Jarlaxle likes to keep it that way, regardless if it's true or not.
And then Corran, Baldur's Gate. And I will do a very quick lookup of these characters if you want me to portray them. So, the 5 characters that Meepo name dropped: Raynar Neverember, Sildar Hallwinter, one of the representatives of the Lord's Alliance, Erlintree, who is, I believe, a druid or a bard from Neverwinter. I think a bard. But again, I'll look it up if I need to. Seelan Rorim from Mirabar, and Corran from Baldur's Gate. So you said Neverwinter, so I'm just really quick gonna look up.
Trying to find this guy. I'm not seeing anything on Google from this guy.
Okay, let's see.
Now is
maybe it's not even a person.
All right, we'll just say he's a random noble. Echo will go over and be like, Lord Erlintree, I think I actually know one of your cousins. They hired me to teach them Goblin one summer, 6 years ago. The Lady Juniper, right?
I'm gonna pause really quick to see if I can scare up just a bit more information. I will cut this part out because I had full descriptions of all these characters. And then, of course, I didn't bring them along because I'm very silly. Let's see here.
So I don't think he was ever quite famous, but for like the first decade or so that he lived in Neverwinter, Echo was kind of the only goblin there. So he was, the circus troupe made a bit of like, come see a goblin perform, and made advertising off of it and stuff like that. But like he might have been known as the goblin in Neverwinter for a while, even if people never knew exactly who he was.
Erlentree is a half-elf bard and a diplomat known for his charm and skill in negotiations, which definitely makes sense for him to be at this wedding, since there are negotiations happening. Ah, yes, of course. Master Echo, was it?
Yes, yeah, Encore is the stage name. With
Encore,
my
yes, of course. How silly of me. Yes, and though he never really has lost that elven accent, which sounds very odd in the goblin tongue, he still has been utilizing his language to just great effect.
Yeah, it was one of the most interesting jobs I've ever done in the city. So
he went off to be an adventurer, in fact, and has avoided many a fight thanks to your lessons. So I owe you a great debt. Thank you.
It was good work done, and I'm very happy to see a contingent from Neverwinter here. It bodes well.
Yes, well, times they are a changin', as they say. Yes. And honestly, I agree with Meepo when he says that we need to be a little bit less judgmental about those we share this space with.
That is good to hear, especially from aristocracy.
Speaking of,
like, yeah, Echo just smiling.
Calder's going to find is going to like do the mental checklist of the lords in attendance and find and try to recall which of them have committed forces to the effort.
Ah, yes. Well, you know that Sildar Hallwinter, he is not your contact in the Lord's Alliance, but now that you see him, you recognize him from the hunt you went on, where you humiliated at least one noble, to the great amusement of everyone else, and you recognize this man as he was a sort of grizzled warrior who was very amused by the way that you dressed down some of the other nobles who were being wantonly cruel.
Mm-hmm.
And he has definitely committed some forces to the defense of Mirabar himself. Mm-hmm. But like all of these folks who have, all of the cities in the area have sent at least some soldiers to the front at this time. So like Erlentree, you're not really gonna know about because he's not really someone in charge. But Neverember and Rorim, of course, who was in Mirabar, and even Corin sent folks from Baldur's Gate. So who is it that you are interested in talking to first?
Well, as everyone here has passed the bare minimum.
Yes.
Cool, they have helped. If they didn't help, they were going to get a dressing down. But instead, he'll go to what's his name, the lord that he amused earlier.
Sildar Hallwinter, yes.
Lord Hallwinter. He'll descend from on.
Oh,
might I interest you in this very excellent red?
Well, I thank you very much to come down to my level. You're going to put a crick in my neck, young man.
He'll lower himself and will deliberately hover so that he's like just very so he's able to look down.
Always
not standing just hovering like a foot off the ground.
Always with the overt displays of your craft. You haven't changed a bit, Calder Creed. And he'll hold out his hand to shake while holding out his other hand for the wine glass.
He'll just nod, start pouring the wine. Telekinetically will hold it there and shake his hand while it is pouring.
Love it. Perfect.
Shakes his hand and then gently catches the wine so it doesn't overfill the wine glass, and just wait for him to catch up. That actually just happened. Not
missing those accusations of overt displays of magic. not dodging those at all.
Well, to be fair, this has been a trick that I've had since I was a boy.
So tell me a little bit of your adventures since last we met. I imagine you have many a tale to share, especially since you're involved with the war efforts up north. Please tell me about.
I won't bore you with the more recent stories because one of them involved right outside, and the other one involved some distinct unpleasantness and things that. Imagine, if you will, a magic hut made of headaches.
Yes, yes. The rumors. The rumors say that you went face to face with Baba Yaga herself.
Who is spreading these rumors so I can hurt them?
Oh, just people. People talk. It's what they do.
Yes, and with all lords, learn the wise lesson: believe only half of what you see and none of what you hear.
That is why I come to the source, my friend.
That I can say with some certainty, keep guessing.
Well, that's fair enough.
That said, I can gleefully give you reports from the front.
Oh, yes, please do.
I will give him the antics. I will speak to him at length of the antics of Anton Cheval and talk about my dear brother's great military escapades and his grand successes. Putting all the effort to sound as if I'm immensely proud of my older brother.
Oh, that sounds like a deception roll to me.
Yeah, I definitely think it is.
We're not looking at the board, so go ahead and tell me what your result is, please.
Don't forget about the unicorn.
A goddamn unicorn.
A dirty 20, okay. Why did you have disadvantage?
Well, it says I'm at disadvantage for some reason.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Do you have an effect on you?
I shouldn't.
Hold on. Just checking the combat log.
Oh, you still have frightened from the dragon fight. That's why.
L. Okay, hold on. We're gonna do that again.
I'll take the 17 and go with 27.
Let's just go ahead and re-roll.
All right.
There. That's better. Tell me what you get.
Rolled a nat 10.
Dirty 20 again. I love it. Perfect. So, I mean, either way, so you you speak the virtues of your brother, and you manage to keep all audible disdain out of your voice.
I am deliberately including little jabs about how tiny little misquotes or miswording. So just to deliberately say, well, if I didn't know you better, I think that you could have made that as an insult.
I seem to remember Anton making a speech that included the phrase, "I may have a very tiny penis."
I cannot say anything about that. He was in the moment and very, very drunk with combat power. So I don't know what was going through his mind at the time. All I know is that he got carried away with himself and led us to a very stirring victory.
Let's go ahead and move the camera over to Kreetha. Kreetha, you are very popular at the moment. People are very, very interested in talking to you and King Barnabas, of course. But of the two, you seem to have been collectively determined to be the less intimidating of the leadership of the Stone Tooth. So people are giving you calling cards, people are walking up and exchanging pleasantries, and nobody's getting right down to business now because, it's a party. But
Calder made the point to make sure she was announced as Lady Regent.
Yes. So people are leaving calling cards and contact information and things like that so that everyone is very interested in the fact that we have an artifact that can churn out magical items for obvious reasons. How is Kreetha handling this, and is there anyone in particular you want her to interact with?
So she is trying very hard to not freak out. Like she is still not 100% comfortable with all of this. This is definitely a bit out of her comfort range. Certainly, let's not forget that her lowest stats are strength and charisma. So she's trying to, honestly, she's doing her best to kind of stay relatively close without making it look like she is to King Barnabas, under the idea that she's kind of keeping an eye on him and seeing how he's handling these people.
Barnabas,
Because
yeah.
she's still what, like only a month or two off of that Jarlaxle like letter. Like, this is like diplomacy on a whole, like friend to friend is one thing, like regent to other person, that's still new to her.
Yeah, regent to king and kind of co-owners of one of the most powerful locations currently on Faerun.
She is not drinking.
That's a throwback.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, if she was drinking, it would be a throw up. She knows, like, she's been in Waterdeep and Mirabar, so she'd probably be slightly more comfortable with Selim and Raynar. She doesn't really know much about Baldur's Gate or Neverwinter as much, so she would be definitely being like,
Raynar Neverember is the son of the former Open Lord of Waterdeep. It is rumored that he is one of the lords himself, but it being the Lords of Waterdeep, it is only rumors. He's known for his connections. He's known for dealing with nobles and merchants, which again makes him a natural choice to be here. And he congratulates you on the find of our lifetimes, the find of our generation and possibly many generations to come. And he'll say, you know, many things are going to change because of that forge of yours.
I would think yes and no. I mean, it is very powerful, but I have also learned in my short life that power in the wrong hands, or power wielded with the wrong spirit, can be exceedingly dangerous.
Well, I'm certain that I'm certain that the forge is in good hands for now. I hope this isn't too forward, but I was wondering if you happened to have about your person any pieces that were created in the forge. My curiosity is burning me up inside.
I'm certain it is. I do have pieces that have been created on the forge.
She can
Pause for a second, because
Echo's holy symbol. She made that.
Echo's holy symbol.
And you have Durgadin.
And I have Durgadin, but when
But she didn't make Durgadin.
Presents.
Oh no, you did.
We
The new one.
Durgadin.
Right. Yeah.
That's
I
right.
know. I gave up a spiffy piece of slag and grabbed Session 4 for that. No,
Right.
back in that arc.
But when are we doing presents? Because I know that, like, some presents have already been given, like Clarion did his, and I don't know if that was counted as Echo's present, but I felt like
that was Echo's present.
So.
Was the plaque.
So then she turns to, she looks back at Raynar and she says, well, why don't you follow me? And she heads over to where Meepo and his now wife are probably, like, are they like at a table on a
Yes.
dais?
They're
like they're obviously the couple of the moment type, like wedding sitch.
The party has absconded back to what was the throne room the last time you were here, and it does have tables set up, and of course there's sort of a larger table in the middle where Meepo is sitting, along with several of the other high representatives of various governments.
she goes over to where the present table is and grabs an actually kind of plain looking fabric wrap box.
Mm-hmm.
And says, "Follow me." And goes up and goes, remind me of how to say the wise man again. Ystryle. I keep getting that like completely messed up in my head, so I need to start.
I am writing it into the Fantasy Grounds chat.
Ystryle.
Yeah. So I come up and I go, Meepo, Ystryle, I come to give you the gift from the hand of the forge. And she puts the box on the table in between them and motions for them to unwrap.
Meepo will do so with great care, and he'll open the box.
So open the box, and inside the box, that's about like this wide. And inside the box is a pair of crowns that have been made. They have been made on the forge. They are magical. They do have a protection spell upon them. They have been made to fit specifically kobold heads. And so they are meant to wrap around the specific horns.
Because magic, it'll like conform to them.
It does. It will conform. It starts out looking like that, but then they will actually conform to their user as it goes on. So this is a new world for you. You are now much more than you were. Both of you are. And with the beginning of this, I feel you should have the proper symbology, something new that my words are failing me. This is hard, but
Meepo is goggling at the crowns, but also utterly stupefied and unable to like completely, dumbstruck.
They have precious stones. They have scale impressions. They are very draconic looking crowns. And it's like, put them on.
There is
always
go ahead.
Fit you and fit your children and your children's children. This, I would think, should be the head symbol if you like them, for the generations to come.
And as he lifts the crown out of the box, there is an audible gasp from around the table, and especially from who was it that I said was with you?
Raynar is the one that I dragged
Raynar.
with because
Yes,
he
yes.
asked.
Raynar, who is known to have been an adventurer in the past, looks at this new magical item and is just dazzled by it. And Meepo sets the crown on his head, and of course it fits perfectly. I am going to stat these as essentially a +2 ring of protection.
Huh?
So it's gonna take up one of his attunement slots, and it'll be a +2 bonus to armor class and saving throws, which is pretty awesome.
Put the one on Ystryle. Yep.
Incredible.
I did have help. I had some help from Vic, and I had help from Durgaton. He also offers his regards. But I grow stronger in the forge, as it should be, and I worked very, very hard on these. It was the only thing I could think of.
Raynar Neverember passes a history check, and will say, wait, Durgaton? You must mean a different, a namesake. Durgadin's been dead for centuries.
You are not wrong.
The most audible groan from Calder.
You are not wrong. He has been dead for centuries.
He still is.
All right then, keep your secrets.
No, it's not a secret. He's just being dead.
He is dead.
Being dead hasn't stopped him.
I mean,
Is it okay for me to speak?
Echo.
I don't normally talk in front of other people. Is that okay? Durgadin will
pulls
speak
out-
audibly.
She pulls Durgadin out and be like, "Would you like to meet him?
If
This is also a forged."
if Raynar was impressed, and very rightfully so, by the crowns, the revelation of the actual spirit of Durgadin infused in a magical weapon, he is apoplectic. He almost like ceases to breathe for a moment as he looks at this incredible piece of craftsmanship from centuries ago. Sees the stamp of Durgadin on the bottom of what shape is Durgadin in right now?
Well, he went back into being a
hand crossbow.
A crossbow, unless he chose to change his shape as she pulled him out.
Yeah, he'll switch to like a dagger. Yeah.
So he'll we'll watch that change.
Yes.
Yeah, he did that on purpose. I would assume.
Showing off.
Showing off a little bit.
Point. He's a dwarf. It would definitely be a hammer.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I would
He's
agree.
a dwarf. It would be a hammer. I agree. And it's actually more of a smithing hammer than it is like it's. I'm thinking a little bit of the. I've been playing a lot of Shadow of War lately, the Middle Earth game. Celebrimbor's hammer, except a little bit less elvish and a a little bit more dwarven, right?
So it's not
Because
very
I had a
big,
moment
very,
thinking
very
that if he did a
functional.
warhammer, that I would be like, oh
What?
no, I gotta roll my strength because again, strength is not her strength.
Yeah, it could just be like a tool hammer.
Yeah, like I imagine it'd be a smithing hammer because if it was like a weapon hammer, she'd be like poing, and that would be
One of the onlookers, you semi-recognize is a dwarf from the Battlehammer clan, probably like a distant cousin of whoever's in charge right now. We haven't really established whether Brunner is still alive in this game, and it's not super duper relevant. But
Brunner
some
doesn't die for a few centuries out, so he's probably still dead.
he's probably still fine. And this dwarf, looks at eyebrows in his scalp as he looks at Durgadin, and he looks at you, and you hear him say to you, "Have you ever considered growing a beard?"
it did not suit me.
I feel like you. Never mind. And as the camera shifts once again, who do we find next at the reception?
To be fun.
I have an idea for once, like, the party gets a little bit going. Echo
Sure.
has a thing he wants to do while he's here.
Sure.
So, like, festivities are going on. Everybody's had at least one course of a meal. Some people are dancing. Some people are very on their way to being drunk. Echo will go and find Kretha and Calder.
Mhm.
And we'll be like, hey,
The moment Calder looks blitzed and very drunk, and as soon as you pull him away, he immediately recomposes and it looks entirely fine.
hey, so do you two want to come see where I used to live here? It's a bit of a
Yes.
side chamber.
Yes,
Certainly.
get me away from these people.
Yeah, and so Echo will lead them away from the main party for a bit, talk a little bit about so these halls, were goblin controlled. That was kind of, where the pantry was, but back here was kind of our living quarters. I used to sleep up on that shelf. It's very tiny. That's where all the little goblins would huddle together for warmth.
There's where Clary nearly killed us.
Mm-hmm. And Calder, you can bring people back from the dead, right? I've seen you do it. I know certain magics have restrictions. How much?
You have watched me raise the dead. Why do you ask?
Very recently dead. How would you do with 11 years past?
He thinks about it honestly. Like, this is where he like is internally examining his magic. So he goes, I believe I could. I've seen the magic before. I've seen the spell performed from a staff, but it ties to how my magic works, so I could see how it functioned. With my power as it is now, I do think I could do it.
Okay. Because I want to see if I can find my dad's bones.
Oh,
He died here, but I don't know what they
I
did with his
recall.
body.
I had not thought of it since you mentioned it years ago.
Yeah.
It's
I mean,
possible. He did not die of natural causes or
oh no.
or from a tremendous magical curse. He was never raised as an undead.
I don't know. Like I said, I saw the last thing I ever saw of my father was him getting stabbed in the chest by that traitorous bugbear, and him telling me to run, and I did. And that was right over in that corner.
Calder's going to like file through his memories, trying to see, because we killed a lot of zombies, but I don't remember seeing any actual goblin undead in that final fight.
No, you did not see
and that was
any.
that was 10 years before we came here and had our adventure.
Oh, that was like 13 years ago now. So yeah.
No, that 11 years ago now. Maybe 12. Getting towards 12.
But anyway, it doesn't matter. So I'm trying to think. They would not have disposed of his body with any dignity.
Well, I have this spell that I think I could use to find his remains. And Echo will cast Locate Object.
Yep.
He is familiar with his father. He's trying to find his father's remains.
I am pulling up Locate Object right now.
Yeah. Describe or name an object that is familiar to you. You sense the direction to the object's location as long as that object is within 1,000 feet of you. If the object is in motion, you know the direction of its movement. And then if it's not familiar to you, there's other stuff.
1,000 feet. Where are you located in the Citadel right now?
Right around where the well goes down to the lower parts where Bellic is, like right on that where Calcrix was earlier before the fight.
I will say that there is indeed a tug. It is faint, but there, and it is mostly downward.
I'm getting something, and he will follow it. Yeah, the spell lasts for 10 minutes, so...
Yeah, we're moving.
Yeah, he'll follow in the direction, and hopefully...
I am, really quick, pulling up a map of the Sunless Citadel.
And just like 1,000 feet. That's
1,000 feet's a long way.
It works through berries and shit. The only thing it doesn't work through is lead. So if the whole thing is encased in lead, he won't be able to find it. But as it goes through walls and shit, then
okay.
Yeah, no.
1 second.
1,000 feet. That's what?
That's a good spell.
Like what? I want to say that's what. It's like it's over 3 football fields. That's massive.
Yeah.
I'm trying.
In a radius, that's the entire Citadel.
It's like 95 stories up through a building. Yeah.
Yeah, that is the entire Citadel easily. And like a good chunk of the rock outside.
Okay, I am pausing for a moment because my map is not cooperating with me. I'm just thinking like it's 1,000-foot radius,
unless it's at the bottom of a chasm.
Yeah, no.
And that would have to be a really deep chasm.
Because we're going down to the grove level.
This would be able to detect 1,000 feet straight down. That's into the Underdark.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sharing a map with you.
Yeah.
I kind of, without speaking aloud, say to Durgadin, We might need the assistance of a shovel. Would you find that too demeaning?
Not even bothering to respond to that, he'll just go ahead and transform.
Oh,
So yeah, now I'm carrying
A tool
magic
to be used for
shovel.
manual labor? Heck yeah, there's nothing ignoble about that. I hope I used that word right. So,
Yeah.
you descend into the grove, which is not a place where guests currently are.
No,
And-
this is Calcrix's lair, so it's nice and chilly down
And it's
here,
quite
right?
cold down here, yes. Not quite to the point where like frost is gathering, but you definitely see your breath, and it feels pretty cold in here. And you find yourself in the Arboretum, labeled Room 49 on the map.
Mm-hmm.
I remember
And
this room.
we're not going to go room by room through here, but you feel the tug of the spell pulling you to the south.
Yeah, we'll follow the spell.
I mean, if you're following the spell directly, it would take you right to a wall. But
Okay.
you will essentially retrace the steps that you took, and
Yeah.
again. Well, I mean, how much are you exploring as you're going, or is it just beeline?
As beeline as we can, but like taking a look around, seeing how things have changed. It's
Yeah.
no longer
Call-
covered in undead plants, yeah?
Looking over everything now with his new, much more experienced eyes, just keeping an eye at interest.
Yeah, and again, the place is I mean, it was already well tended because it was tended by undead gardeners, right? But the plants have been more or less they continue to be maintained. You catch a small glimpse at the laboratory that had all those horrible things in it, and like through an open door, and that's all been cleaned up. And you pass by a shrine to Ashardalon, and
Flips it off as we walk by.
and when you make your way back to the grove proper, where the Gulthias tree once stood, it's up, around, and down, and you find yourself getting colder and colder, and this entire space has been essentially terraformed by Calcrix to suit her needs, and now
Is there any bit of the Gulthias tree that still remains?
no.
Okay.
No.
No, we burnt it to a crisp.
the spot where the Gulthias tree once stood, has a series of holy symbols around it, of various faiths, and Calcrix herself, huge size as she is curled up in the southeast corner, just fully asleep.
I'm not like we'll politely keep our quiet, but we're not trying to sneak.
Yeah. The what's it called? The spell pulls you to the south end, past where the Gulthias tree once stood, in one of these little inlet areas on the south. And what you find is a headstone and a fairly sizable grave. And the headstone says something to the effect of, "These are the victims of the experiments of Belak the Mad. We were unable to discern individuals, so we hope they find their rest together here."
It's written in Common, Draconic.
It's written in Common. It looks like Erky Timber's handwriting.
Echo will find the spot, stand over it, feeling a little down, and be like, "Shovel, please."
I hand over Durgaden and
I will look over at Calcrix and say, in not quiet, draconic, of, "We're digging into the wall. We're not stealing anything of value to you." Okay.
She had a big battle earlier.
Can't say.
She's had a big day.
Yeah.
I'm holding to dragon etiquette. We tried to tell her she was asleep. That's fine. We're not stealing.
So you begin digging. And
like as he comes across other remains that were put here, he will, try not to damage them, just gently set them aside as he continues following the pull of the spell to try to find the right bones.
yeah, there's a depressing number of different size and shaped bones. Belak had been doing what he did for a while, and any remains he just disposed of however he felt like. And yeah, so you are able to gather. Now, how much of a body do you need for a resurrection spell?
Not a lot.
For which spell is it?
Resurrection, proper seventh level.
I don't think you even need a body for resurrection. I know you don't need one for true resurrection.
Resurrection. You touch a dead creature that has been dead for no more than a century, that didn't die of old age, blah, blah, blah. Neutralizes poisons, cures normal diseases.
Regrows body parts.
It does say regrow body parts. It does say a dead creature.
So presumably it would be any quantity of remains.
Yeah, that seems right to me. And then with true resurrection, you don't need anything, right? So I'm fine with you finding a particularly sizable bone. Chances are good that the entire skeleton isn't present here.
No.
Right? Because
But,
again,
like,
Belak was
part of a
not
skull.
super careful with how he disposed of the bodies of his experiments.
Yeah. A femur, a part of a skull. Yeah.
A jawbone, something like that.
So yeah, you are able to find a suitable piece of remains, and I assume everything else goes back into the grave, respectfully and potentially with a little prayer.
I'll let the clerics attend to the spiritual matters as I take the remains and examine them for my purposes to determine, has necromancy been used on these remains.
Give me an Arcana check.
He will hand you the, about half of a skull that they found and say, I don't cast anything yet. Examine it all you want, but just don't cast anything yet.
16.
As far as you can tell, no, this body has not been used as an undead creature.
Yeah. Okay.
And then, Echo will work
I guess a very basic arcane thing to be able to determine. So it's like,
yeah.
Okay, these seem fine.
Echo works to put all the other remains back, and I think he starts.
We'll make sure that we, using the locate object, we'll pull out as many of the remains as we can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then putting the rest back, he will, I think, just start singing a little song that they used to sing in the circus to pass time, just a little keeping the rhythm work chant, but he's singing it in Goblin to these people as he's putting them back in this mass grave.
And Krika is a cleric now, so she does, do a little bit of. Admittedly, she's more of a forge cleric, but she's got a little bit more going on. So
neither of y'all are worshiping Magoogle yet. That's all I care about.
She can at least bless, and just be.
Yeah. And Durgadin is respectfully silent during the entire process.
Calder will will pull his cloak and will lay it down very respectfully, make sure that the remains are placed with respect and are arranged in a facsimile of their normal shape, and then we'll fold the cloth over it so they don't get too terribly dislodged.
Echo will, before closing the grave again, throw in a handful of gold coins and say a quick word for Tamora to watch over this place. Cover it up and turn back and be like, okay, so hypothetically, it'd be possible to bring him back?
There is only one factor that might determine whether he wouldn't, and that is his willingness. I don't know what afterlife he would have gone to. Through the Shadowfell, I could reach him, but if he went to a heavenly place, he might not want to leave.
That's That is fair. I've actually spoken to his ghost. It was wow, almost a year ago now. Right before I got the letter from Barnabas asking for me to come, maybe be a part of the group to come, to go find the suspected forge in the north. I couldn't sleep, and I was wandering Neverwinter at night, and I felt a little bit of a pull to a building on the edge of one of the cliffs, and it was a temple to Tamora, and I went all the way to the top, and my dad's ghost was there. I actually got to speak with him, and he was the one that told me about Tamora and how she wanted to use me as a way to help.
Do you know what Tamora's afterlife generally entails?
I don't. It's I haven't ever actually attended a ceremony in an actual temple of Tamora. I mean, we went to the festival in Waterdeep at the Temple of Tamora. That was about it.
Might want to get on that if you're going to continue to be her cleric.
Yeah. Hey, she called me, okay?
I know. But if I had to guess, she is a worshipped predominantly by halflings. So her afterlife would be peaceful. It would be centered around food, song, and that type of hearth. But, and a heavy but there, those types of afterlives are typically given to those who, as a reward for some great heroic deed. Those that die ignobly, those that die unfairly, are returned to the cycle, typically. They spend some time in the fugue realm and then wait for the centuries it takes to reincarnate.
I don't even know if, like, she used him to talk to me, but I don't even know if he's, in her place, or if that was just a kind of like, oh, let me pluck this soul I need to go do this message. Like, we didn't worship any god here, the goblins that used to live here.
Then his presence with recruiting you to Tamora was probably incidental. It was probably a connection that was given to him as a reprieve into the fugue realm, a opportunity to help you was offered to him, and he accepted. That is good, but it doesn't speak to the state of his spirit.
So if you try to cast it and it doesn't work, that means he chose to stay wherever he is.
If you participated in the ritual, I could make sure that your words directly are heard by him. It would be an opportunity to call him, to ask him if he wants to come back.
I think Echo takes a second, and he unwraps the bones that Calder carefully put in the thing, and he picks up like the part of the skull that is there, and he just is kind of looking at it for a while. I know I've heard from both of you that your fathers are pieces of shit and not good people, and
not a single person in this world would cast the spell for my father.
No, but
I would cast it for yours.
I don't know if my dad was a good person. He tried to do right by his people that he led, but it wasn't a good place to make good decisions. It was kind of, we were fighting the kobolds constantly. We were raiding from the towns nearby when we could, quelling infighting so that we wouldn't be too weak and the kobolds would push further. And I don't know if my father ever made a choice in his life that wasn't just the lesser of two evils.
Then in that case, his most likely fate is the fugue realm, which is a place that is designed to make you forget. It spiritually scrubs the consciousness clean from the soul so that it can be passed to the next life clean. That the person who receives it is a new person.
I want to see him again.
I think he would want to see you again too. His memories would be restored to him with the resurrection.
I'd want him to meet my sister. I'd want you to get to meet him. He's, as much of a shitty situation he was in, he was always kind when he could be.
How old was he when he passed?
15. 1 year younger than I am now.
So he would have a good life ahead of him still.
Yeah.
I think he would like to see the world that's coming. I think he would like to be in the world that is emerging.
I'd have to teach him common, and I'd get to introduce him to my family that I have now. Not just...
I would be very happy to meet him. I'm going to have to if I'm going to cast the spell. There are just two caveats.
Mm-hmm.
One, casting this type of magic upon him for how long he has been dead will be exhausting to him. He will be tired unlike anything any of us have felt. A literal regrounding of the spirit into the body is very traumatic. It is very difficult to endure. It will suck.
Yeah.
He'll live through it. It'll be just like the worst cold he has ever had in his life.
I am also a little bit worried because the last person who died in this connected to this place that we brought back was Clarion.
That's a different case. I can report happily that's a different case.
I don't think that your father would come back like Clarion. We're really not even sure why Clarion came back the way he did.
Well, we
But
did.
he wasn't, do we?
Clarion made use of a very powerful necromantic artifact. It's like very unique.
That would do it.
But my dad...
And then Lore, in her infinite wisdom, used the same whistle on Clarion's body.
Upstairs in the reception. Yeah, Lore sneezes.
Clarion sneezes.
And in so doing,
Clarion's confused because Clarion doesn't have to breathe. Why the hell is he sneezing?
And thus marking a body with the death, with necromancy like that, stains the spirit. And it is very difficult to resurrect past that. We have special circumstances that pulled Clarion through it thanks to a divine artifact made specifically for the purposes of raising the dead.
Yeah.
It was that, without that, it wouldn't have worked at all. But this, different circumstances entirely. He would come back confused and tired, but otherwise fine.
I don't want to do it now with everything hanging in the balance. Going to be decided in 2 weeks.
Unfortunately, the more we wait, the worse an idea it becomes, because that's the other caveat. It will wreck me and my energies. Channeling that much power to resurrect the dead for any spellcaster of any level of experience is devastatingly strong.
Are you going to get wounded like I did when I used the staff?
No, like you went through those wounds because your body wasn't ready for that type of magical exertion. I am. I will just be exhausted. I will need to sleep, and my magic won't work until I do.
Okay, so
the longer we, because regardless of when I cast a spell, my next 8 hours after that point will be me unconscious.
So not here.
Ideally not here, not with a dragon with a chip on her shoulder toward me, ideally.
I was thinking, I don't want to... I wouldn't want to bring him back into this world for it to be destroyed in 2 weeks.
At the same time, though, I can't guarantee I'll survive the efforts either. It is, as I said, the longer we wait, the worse an idea it gets. If we are going to do this, we should do it as soon as we can. And before you agonize further, I will reiterate something I told you when I helped your troop. Resurrection magic is inherently selfish. It is something that you must embrace, that you are doing something that flaunts the natural order. If you are willing to accept this, fine, great. I'm actively willing to do this, but I don't want you to feel guilty for having done it.
Okay.
I am your friend. I will do whatever it is that will make you happy. And if this will make you happy, that your father will have to be getting used to a very annoying shadow sorcerer coming for him.
I think Echo will kiss Calder for that, and just say, "Okay, maybe once we're back after the wedding is wrapped."
Very well.
And he will gather up the
cloak.
bones. Yeah. And
Keep
set it
those safe.
gently.
Paper in the forge.
Keep those safe. We'll go to the.
We'll have
We
sanctuary.
will go straight from here to the forge. We will make all the preparations so that he and I can rest immediately after it's done.
Yeah.
He will be tired for days. Be aware of this. I will be fine after a good night's rest. He will be very, very sore for a while.
I mean, I have a bit of magic that can help with that, as Echo just plays with the beads around his neck that have a greater restoration stored in them for every day.
This is not the thing. This is not the thing that a greater restoration, even a greater restoration, can help. This is very. They can get past the penalty that you get from the.
It removes one of the penalties for every use of greater res.
Okay, that's cool. That will help. That will help, I'm sure, but it's a lot.
No, I remember.
Right. Very well. Then I will do this. It's an hour-long ritual. It's very similar to the one you saw. It's just going to involve me diving a little deeper into the Shadowfell and making someone who lives there very annoyed at me.
I feel like you like that.
This person, I'm less enthused about it. I'm sure you've heard the name Raven Queen.
Yeah, she's in a couple of the plays we would do in the troupe. She's always kind of like the boogeyman at the end of things, or like the mysterious thing that the solution comes from if you impress her, sort of a character.
Mm-hmm. I'm basically tap dancing through her backyard whenever I do this.
All right. I think that's enough of being down here in the cold. They're playing some good music up there. We should go dance.
I will, as we are leaving, I will leave a pouch of 1,000 gold for pay, with a note of, scrawling a note of, for payment for retrieval of some bones that you kept in the corner. Heart Calder.
Love it. And you make your way back up to the
party. Yeah.
The party. What I would like to do, go ahead.
I think Echo makes a point to dance with every single one of his friends at some point during the party.
What I would like to do is
Calder would when dances with Echo they'll like levitate in the air. It'll be in the air. with telekinesis and everything.
See, you're already anticipating what I want to do. So what I want to do at this time is maybe a series of little mini vignettes of scenes that happen during the reception, during the party. I'm gonna start with one where at some point during the party an elvish bystander will approach Kretha and will offer a very charming bow and will say something to the effect of, "Your star rises. You have come very far in a very short time. I look forward to more lucrative conversations in the future." And he winks at you, and as he does, his eyes flash lavender like Jarlaxle's eyes. And then the next time you look for him, he's gone.
Uh-huh.
So what I would like to do, as I said, is take at least one, just give me a little snippet of what the night is like. Give me one sort of just a little freeze frame or a little short thing of what happens during the reception.
At some point, the idea of like party games, party dances come up, and I think there is a limbo competition that gets like sprung out of the crowd, especially with Ghost being very competitive about performing and showing off in front of a crowd. And so I totally see that there would be a limbo competition in which Ghost does very, very well.
Yes, Ghost absolutely wins the limbo competition fairly handily. Like, I could go lower. Why are you all quitting? I could go lower.
Flattens himself.
Pyre and Ghost absolutely have arm wrestling to Electric Boogaloo.
And I'm actually imagining Barnabas and Pyre sort of sitting next to each other, going shot for a little bit, trying to see who falls first.
Yeah.
Well, Barnabas has that poison,
like literal poison
reduction.
Immunity.
Yes.
Not immunity, but resistance.
And Pyre has the alcohol is being burned before it hits his stomach. But,
Yes.
And let's be understanding that poison resistance is probably the only reason Barnabas did not get drunk with just the one clang of Clarion's mixture.
and yeah, made his save because he also is a character of quite high constitution. But he will definitely end up with, like, I don't know. I see a flash of Barnabas like with his mug, like doing a chug contest with Pyre, and his belt is wrapped around his forehead.
Pyre's belt? No, Pyre.
No. Barnabas's belt is wrapped around his own forehead.
Yeah, absolutely. Pyre is the sort of drunk who does not look drunk until he takes that final swig and then just keels over like a statue.
Love it.
It's a wedding.
It's a wedding.
Do they do a throwing of the bouquet at some point?
Not
Or some equivalent.
Not unless Echo suggests it. That's a human thing.
Oh, yeah, he'll like be sitting with Meepo and Yulstrael at like some point in the evening and be like, yeah, so I've been to like orc weddings and gnome weddings, and like there's this tradition that humans do where it's like, the big thing of flowers that the bride usually carries. Like at some point they announce that they're going to throw it, and all the crowd gets together and throws it in, and supposedly the person who catches it is going to be the next person to get married. It's kind of like
this is immediately an extremely popular idea. Like, and everyone in the area is like, hell yeah, this is a great plan.
Like off like camera, like centuries to come, Kobold turned this part of their wedding traditions into a fierce and angry competition where there's betting and blood.
Have you been to a throwing of the bouquet at an actual wedding? It does get a little dirty sometimes.
Dirty, yes. I'm thinking that the kobolds actually like bring knives.
Like, are there flowers at this wedding? Because these are all like generally underground species.
Like they look around like, what about flowers? Prestidigitation.
Or Pyre can druidcraft a few.
Pyre just points. It's like, there.
Easy enough.
Just one giant sunflower.
Whomst among the player characters is competing for the bouquet?
I think Echo would.
Echo definitely needs to be.
I think Calder wouldn't, but critically, Calder is drinking wine and is floating in the air. There's a non-zero chance he gets hit anyway.
Right, and you tell me if telekinesis or mage hand gets involved. I see this as like when the X-Men play basketball, they always start out by saying no powers.
Yeah.
But it very quickly devolves into all of the powers.
It's usually because everyone forgets Gambit has enhanced agility as a power.
It's just his thing, yes. One of his many things. So yeah, you find yourselves a reasonable spot, and it's wait, Meepo says Meepo throws or Yulstrael throws?
No, Yulstrael throws.
I mean,
And all-
either or
and
both.
And it used to be just the unwed women, but it's been expanded to literally anyone who's just unmarried or unpartnered.
Kretha is just she's not in the group at all. But for some reason, Durgadin is a crossbow again.
Okay. The scene is set. Eustrial finds a sort of elevated position from which to throw the bouquet. We'll say it's the raised area in
Turn into
the
combat. We're gonna need initiative
in the room with the where the ceremony happened. And yes, so she turns her back, hurls the giant sunflower into the air, and there's this sort of slow motion as just general havoc occurs in the room as people begin to scramble to try to catch this thing. And let me ask each of you, those of you who are going for it, what are you doing to go for it? And I'll have you do an appropriate roll.
Okay.
I mean, Echo literally has the monk ability to catch something flying at him.
That is very true.
I have tied a rope to the end of a crossbow bolt, and I am shooting it.
I have literal telekinesis.
Okay. There is other pushing and shoving and such, but it seems very, very clear that one of the three of you are most likely to get this thing. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to have, so timing-wise, I'm going to say that let's have Kretha make your attack roll, because that's the first important thing. So go ahead and just make an attack roll with Durgadin. We're not looking at the table, so tell me what you get.
Okay. Let's see here.
Wow.
I rolled a 27.
27. So the bolt pierces directly through the center of the...
Hold on. Trying to... Oh, there it is. Deflect missiles.
Yeah. Directly through the center of the sunflower. However, as it is continuing forward...
It's got a rope, remember?
Yes. As it continues forward and before the rope becomes taut, a green hand reaches up just blurringly fast, jumping higher than any goblin has a right to jump. So catching the thing is not the issue, right? You've got a thing that just lets you do that. Give me an acrobatics check to make sure you get there in time. And once again, tell me what the result is when you get there.
Okay.
Athletics would also be appropriate if you prefer.
I'm gonna do acrobatics, and you know what? I'm gonna use my inspiration.
Okay.
Ooh, fancy.
Oh, come on. What was that?
That looks like a 17.
A
to me.
17.
Okay. So with a 17, I will say you catch the rope. You're reaching up. You grab for the sunflower, but the sunflower is suddenly not where you thought it would be. But you're still quick enough to catch the rope just behind the bottom of the quarrel. As you do, you feel another force beginning to tug on the flower. And I need to know what you do about that before we get to Calder's roll.
I think he is going to activate his ghost step tattoo and take the bouquet and him as in we can pass through solid him and the stuff he's carrying can pass through solid objects, so he's gonna try to ghost out of there.
Oh my god. Okay.
Well, I have an escalation.
What's your escalation? Please.
I am going to subtle cast the spell telekinesis and use its ability that says target a held or worn object.
If it's
incorporeal, that's what it is.
Yeah.
I cannot be grappled or restrained while the tattoo is open.
I'm not targeting you. I'm targeting the object.
I'm reading through telekinesis really quick. You gain the ability to move or manipulate creatures. Oh, we're seeing this through to the end. This is the most important encounter we've ever had. You gain the ability to move or manipulate creatures or objects by thought. You can affect the same target. Blah blah blah. You can exert your will on one creature or object that you can see within range. So object. If the object is worn or carried, you must make an ability check with your spellcasting ability contested by the creature's strength check. If you succeed, you pull the object away. Okay, and then what is the effect that is making you incorporeal?
It is a ghost step tattoo, which we modified slightly.
Right.
It's on Echo's sheet under abilities called Echo's glowy markings.
There is a spell that simulates this, and it's called... There's a spell that lets you turn incorporeal.
I don't know what the spell is.
I don't remember what the spell is called because I want to read a description.
All right, but here's the exact wording from the tattoo. You gain the following benefits. You have resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage from non-magical attacks. You can't be grappled or restrained. You can move through creatures and solid objects as if they were difficult terrain. If you end your turn in a solid object, you take 1d10 force damage.
Okay. So... And I think what I'm going to do is we're going to go ahead and make this contested check, but I am going to give Echo advantage because of the incorporeal nature of it. It's harder to, but there's nothing in the telekinesis spell that says that it can't target an incorporeal object, and
Fair.
Especially since you mentioned that you take half damage from weapon attacks that are non-magical, which means there is still some substance to you that can be interacted with in some way. So I'm going to give you advantage.
So is this a strength check or a strength save?
It is a strength check, and for Calder, it is a ability check with your spellcasting, which is charisma. I am going to go over to the board for this one. Oh, that was very, very close to... Okay, so I was going to go to the board. 1 second. I'm just going to hit the button really quick. Okay, Calder, I see you got a 22 on your charisma check. That's going to be tough to beat with advantage.
With advantage.
That is a natural 20, but even with that, and I'm hitting the button, screw it. But even with the natural 20, unfortunately, here's what we're going to do. I want you to...
I do have a new cool ability.
What is your new cool ability?
So this technically is not an attack roll, but I now have the lucky feat.
True.
Could I roll and see if I can get Calder a lower result from spending a luck point? Because normally you can spend a luck point when an attack is made against you.
This is true.
To do a different roll.
I'm double checking really quick. Lucky. You can also spend when an attack roll is made against you. Okay.
Yeah, this isn't an attack roll, but
this is one of those times where I'm going to say, for the purposes of this particular scene, yes, this will work. Because it's hilarious to me to make Jeff roll more dice, given how it tends to go.
There's that.
I have one more thing. I also have inspiration.
You have inspiration?
That does not help.
Okay.
Right.
Now,
I do have a proposed compromise.
Mm-hmm.
Of Echo definitely being like the unmitigated person who caught it, but Calder is still straight up lifting Echo with the flower.
So Echo reaches.
I would be yanking on the rope, so you have a third.
I can lift over 1,000 pounds. I can just lift all of us.
So Kratos' arrow hits it. Echo also grabs the rope, then reaches out to grab the bouquet. He lets go of the rope, is holding the bouquet, turns incorporeal. The rope and arrow pass right through them as you pull it back. And then Echo had to kick on his glowy eye markings to do that. And he's like, yeah! And then realizes he's not falling back down.
Yeah. Something magical ship moment of like, this is being a competition over who gets to decide, who gets to see they're getting married next, and it's like these two.
So
very, and then we'll, very like just a beat to let the moment sink in for both of them, and then gently lowers them to the ground.
I love that
Everyone's
so
like,
much. Let's
Then Calder will bow, admitting defeat.
let's talk about finishing up. The food has been eaten. The drinks have been drinking. Drank. I don't even know what the correct form would be in that, and I don't care. As things are winding down, there are rooms available, and some of the guests will be staying because one should never drink and fly carpets or whatever.
Calder makes a big show.
Late? Yeah, how late are you all staying? And then I assume you're getting out by teleportation circle.
We don't have to use teleportation circle anymore.
That's true. You've just got teleport now, right?
We do just have teleport. I would use teleportation circle because it's a lower spell for like for the royalty involved.
Yeah.
But teleport would be good for the party because it let us choose a destination other than the Citadel if we choose.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think
It's
night's
like,
winding down. Echo totally
Kreathis-
bothered.
Like I do have a spell that is better than teleportation circle as it is much smoother and can be done in battle. It's meant to be much easier.
Preetha will still throw up, but yes, okay,
Okay. We'll try it.
we'll try. I mean, yeah,
Just don't be facing me when it happens.
we just know this. Like it's automatic. Like.
It's less a physiologic response in so much as it's a conditioned response at this point.
It does become somewhat of a conditioned as well as a physiologic response. Like that you can definitely see that happening. Like it's.
So yeah, teleportation circle for the crowd.
Mm-hmm.
So as we're figuring out the logistics of this,
Also, like training, like specifically, like teaching the address to whatever local arcane expert Eustrial has in order to like link to. We need to make sure these kids cast once a day for an entire year to link these two things, and then you'll have a permanent bond to the stone tooth, and we can arrange this whole thing.
yeah, I think Echo says, goodbye to Meepo and calls down a goodbye to Calcrix and, gives Eustrial a good.
Keep existing.
Pyre will just be insufferably attractive to most kobolds.
Right? Go find Pyre and drag him away from his new fan club. And find wherever Ghost managed. Oh, he's in the chandelier. Okay. Get him down from there.
Teleportation circle for House Hyacinth is also possible.
Yeah, that
then
probably
back
do that
to-
for, yeah.
Big loving hugs to Clarion and a heartfelt, very shallow nod to Lore.
Hugs from Echo. Well wishes to Hyacinth. Yeah.
All the hugs, all the happiness.
Where?
We'll tell Clarion, please make sure Hyacinth receives all of my love and knows I will visit as soon as I am. Lore.
To where are you teleporting? What's the target of your teleport?
That is the question for the group. Where do we want to go? Now that we have teleport unlocked, we can go anywhere.
I will go ahead and really quick remind everybody of the rules surrounding the teleport spell.
Mm-hmm.
Depending on your familiarity with the area, there are chances of it going wrong. But obviously, if you're teleporting to a circle, there's a 100% chance of success. It says if you have an associated object.
Where you're going.
Object, person. So the stone tooth, super easy. Any place where we have been, super easy.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
I mean, I figured we'd be going back to the forge.
We did
or
tell
whatever.
Sven we would be coming right back.
We
to
did
I'm
say-
assuming that we're trying to get Barnabas back and stuff.
Here's the thing.
certainly
I
20
remember
days
we're
now, like, let's get
like,
it.
what time of day is it?
Oh,
It is
it's almost
late.
morning.
Yeah, I was about
It is
to say.
maybe probably dawn up there.
Cool. That means, but at the Stone Tooth, Sven would be at his desk getting his morning coffee.
Probably yes.
I've been in that room. We were attacked by a rug in that room.
That's the room where the circle is.
That's the room where the circle is. Yeah.
So he's probably not
that's
in
the
the
thing.
room.
We don't need to go into this. We can target the circle, but thanks to points at Durgaden, we can go anywhere in the Stone Tooth we want.
Are you saying you want to come out on his desk?
I think I'm saying I want to come out in the way that will, in some small way, give me pleasure for tormenting Sven in the way that he is indirectly tormented me.
So like behind him. Okay.
Yes.
Balder, did you not have a good time? Are you still like?
Oh no,
Man.
I had an amazing time. I just, I'm still, however, a
You don't gotta be bitch about it. You don't gotta be a mean motherfucker first thing in the morning. You know?
No, technically, I'm not being. Technically, what we should do is we should teleport somewhere very safe, somewhere where we will be alone with your father's remains, and do it then. Because I will still have enough magic in me to do it.
How about we just go to the circle and then get to it's yeah. Because right now you two are the only ones who know about that. And I might want to tell Barnabas what we're trying to do in a random room in his, mountain. Especially because it's like
I have it on good authority. The Lady Regent is very understanding.
I mean, especially because you caught the bouquet.
Oh yeah, so over the course of the night, Echo went and pestered Pyre, who druid crafted the bouquet into a flower crown, and Echo's just wearing it now.
Nice.
Thumbs up, Pyre would do. He'd be like, yes, turning your trophy into a crown of victory.
As you begin to get settled and get ready to go, it strikes each of you in some way that the entire face of Faerun is changing. That the rediscovery of the Forge of Fury, as well as Meepo's ascension, and the obvious legitimacy that both he and his ideas are getting, at least on the surface level, from the aristocracy of the surrounding area. And as you're leaving the festivities behind, which are still continuing, by the way, but as you leave the festivities behind, each of you is struck by the fact that the world is going to look very different in, say, another 10 years, or 50, or 100. And just that feeling hits you hard. And whether that you decide in your own mind that it's a positive change or a negative change or anything like that, all of you can sort of agree in your minds that the world will not be the same, and this wedding is one of the catalysts that will make that change happen. You're teleporting to the circle, yeah?
Yeah, in which case I'll just cast Teleportation Circle because it's an easier spell.
And there's no chance of mishap, yeah.
Yeah, Echo puts a kiss on Calder's cheek and says, see, it's nice to be nice sometimes. Thank you.
But it's also really nice to torture Sven. We could torture Anton. I would love to torture Anton. Let me torture Anton.
I'm not going to stop you there.
Oh.
But I am going to stop you wonderful players there, because I feel like with the teleportation, you make it to the room, and funny enough, because all contingencies have been taken into account, there is already a wrought iron bucket right next to the circle.
It has been specially made by Vic, so it's super nice and fancy.
For the exclusive use.
It is on a tiny table, at perfect waist level, so
it's got a self-cleaning spell in it, so everything just immediately prestidigitates before, anything. Yeah.
Just gently simmers out of existence and leaves only the fresh scent of pine.
Okay, think about this. This would make great chamber pots for people. We could like get even richer.
No, seriously, this is like as a magical tool to
As
spell
a
across the
minor.
empire, like
Yeah.
a thing that like a chamber, an instant removal magic chamber pot that disintegrates, leaving a fresh scent behind. That would be like we could charge an absurd quantity of gold to rich people for that.
You'll literally be turning
That's how the
literally
sword
turning
is going to change the
piss
world.
into gold.
And with that, friends, we're going to go over to our post-game show. Those of you who are watching on Twitch, thank you so much for being here. Hopefully some of these wonderful players will be in chat while we're discussing things. So if you have any questions or any comments or any just nice things to say, now would be a great time to do that. Let's go ahead and jump over. So, that was fun.
Yes.
Just to put an image in everyone's minds, I have never been to a wedding where people didn't dance the Macarena. So just imagine all the characters doing the Macarena.
Oh my god.
There's a conga line, which is tough when you've got people of such wildly different
Conga
heights.
lines. Every wedding I've been to has had a conga line. No one. I've only been to one wedding with the Macarena.
See, mine did not have the Macarena or a conga line, but that's because I didn't have like a DJ or any of that kind of music. I had a pipe organ playing like doing a concert of science fiction and fantasy.
Oh, that's so
soundtrack
cool.
Favorites. So it wasn't really the Macarena type of wedding, but yeah, the other
couldn't
kind of weddings
do-
I've been to have had that kind of shit. Yeah.
You can't do Macarena on the pipe organ? Come on.
someone,
I'm sure you could. That's not what was fun. I mean,
someone breaks into
that
a
would've been
rendition of
interesting now that you
YMCA, which is another very popular wedding dance.
The electric slide and
Love it.
The last wedding I went to was also was full of nerd fare, and the tables were each named after various IPs and locations from science fiction. So it was science fiction and fantasy. So we had Camelot and Camp Half-Blood and Starfleet Academy and
Now in the next session, we're pretty much going to be opening with the resurrection, probably.
Yeah.
And we're going to discuss between now and then how that's going to go, because I want to know what you players are interested in, and of course I'll take what you say under consideration and do whatever it takes to make you cry as much as I can.
I was honestly planning to just have this be a thing for an epilogue at the end of the campaign.
Sure,
of,
we could also
maybe
do that.
They do it then.
But no,
Call this thing. Yeah.
I can't guarantee I'll survive, so I just want to do it here.
I really loved the extra lore about the resurrection spell that Calder was mentioning, because it's so easy to say, no, it's just a spell on my sheet, I can cast it and it's over. I like the extra flavor that you're bringing to this, especially given how the casting of resurrection from the staff affected Echo. I like that we're continuing that that train of thought.
I am way too deep in portions of D&D lore, and that's part of it. The reason why magic levels up with you is it's a muscle. Magic's a muscle. The more you use it, the more you exercise it. So what Echo essentially did was try to lift 400 pounds before they were ready.
Yeah.
So so they tore a muscle. And the magic muscle tore, hence damage. So but Calder is a lot more magically swole than Echo ever has been. So
Yeah.
I resurrection magic is one of those things that has the potential to be not taken seriously enough. It has the potential to be just a catch-all, which is why I like resurrections with consequences. Both, Clarion, and also back when you and I were running Hunter, Jeff, we had a character who just was throwing around this ridiculous resurrection power here and there.
And the power is the dumbest thing to throw around.
Yeah, some of the Hunter stuff is pretty silly. And
you come back traumatized and crazy. It doesn't happen well.
We ended up running an entire plot where the character had an imaginary friend that everyone was supposed to interact with while they were in the room together, but as long as that character wasn't present, nobody knew who it was.
Mhm.
And that was a lot of fun. That's a story for another time, but that was a really good one. So
Yeah.
resurrection magic should have consequences. It should have a price. It shouldn't be something that's just thrown around willy-nilly, and I like that about this group.
Yeah, the mechanics for the downsides are in the spell, and yeah, you can just and then we survived them and didn't go anywhere for 4 days.
Yeah, I'm also very curious because I liked having, Calder and Kreitha there for Echo to find his dad this way, because those two characters are kind of the poster children for like, our dads suck. Like,
I know, right?
well, and like I think because Echo loves his dad and his dad loved him, but they were in a really shitty situation. That realization of like, I don't know if my dad ever made a good decision in his life. I think he only had like the choice between evil and lesser evil most of the time. And like, yeah, Echo's now older than his dad ever got to be. Like this, if they do bring him back, this is going to be a weird fucking dynamic.
It's going to be weird.
It really is. But
yeah, it has every potential to be super interesting though, because like the rags to riches story that is this party. So
right, and like because Cyric, Cyric is his father's name. It's Old English for something. He told Echo when he met him, when Echo got his levels of cleric, that like he sees where he's at now. He sees how successful he's been. He saw that he went back to the Citadel and helped resolve the Belak thing there, and that he was proud of him. Even if he was only war chief for a day and a half, kind of a thing. So it's not like as a ghost, I for plot reasons said that like he got to look into Echo's life to give the Tamora pitch for a little bit. So he's a bit more caught up than one might expect of a person who's been dead for 11 years.
I was happy to get to dive into some of the dumb corners of Faerun's afterlife lore, because it is bonkers and stupid and makes no sense, and Ao needs to die.
Right. And then there's there's Durgaden, who's technically 800 plus years dead and still kicking. There's some weird exceptions.
Yeah. But the Fugrum, the Shadowfell, all how all of their afterlife comes in layers, and it's why? And that's and occasionally you'll go to Mount Celestia to be in one of the gods' realms for an afterlife, and that's only if you did really, really good. If you did what our god arbitrarily said, we really, really likes, you get to live forever and happy. Fuck all the rest of them. But...
Yeah, screw everybody else, and screw them even if it's just a circumstance, and they never had a chance to be heroic because of the circumstances of their birth. Screw those people.
And all the more fucked up when you realize things like soul coins are a thing, and the idea that that magic can just annihilate, hijack, or remove a soul.
Jen?
I had a thought while you were describing some of that crazy stuff, where you were talking about he was probably in that land where you forget to be cleansed before your next life.
The few, yeah.
When do you go on to your next life?
Maybe 100 or plus years later.
It's supposed to be you live there, but you still have literally everybody who died in front of you has to get reincarnated first.
Okay.
So it takes centuries.
I'm there going, oh God, what if he's already been reincarnated? That would be a little...
It's a queue, so he's probably still there.
He's in a line. Okay. All right.
If he's even there.
English name, and the English know how to queue, so...
Well, there's also the fact that, you're mentioning, Echo's dad didn't worship Tamora. Tamora's a halfling goddess. But at the same time, she did pluck him and send him to do the pitch. So, did she also do him a solid and set him up somewhere nicer? Is he actually in a cool place that he doesn't want to leave now? We don't know.
There are also a bunch of little half realms, places that you're still technically in the few realm. You just aren't. You are just in blissful silence and not constantly aware that your memories are fading.
Right. Right? Or did Tamora just like put him in a pocket? Just like, I might need you later. Hold on a sec.
I
Like
was-
there's a non-zero chance that the spell like ends up like yanking me to tomorrow's realm, yanking us to tomorrow's realm to have a chat.
That'd be
That's an interesting thought because Tamora's a prankster, right? Like
Yep.
that's
She
one
is a
of her
trickster
things.
goddess. Yeah.
Like there's a non-zero chance that just was that it wasn't Cyric at all and was just using his shape as a convenient voice. But there's also an equal chance that it was.
so bad.
That would be very, very sad. That was a thought that crossed my mind. I'm not sure how cruel I want to be as a DM at the end of the game.
Oh my
but it
God.
is a thing that Tamora would do. Like, Tamora would absolutely...
Okay. She's an objectively good goddess, though. She is a goddess of good and luck and trickery.
And she has created a lot of good by bringing you into the fold. It's a maybe. We'll find out in the next session. Make sure you don't miss it. Anytime we talk about resurrection, and this is a complete tangent, but anytime we talk about resurrection, I think about how I want to make a parody song of Love is an Open Door from Frozen, except it would be Death's a Revolving Door.
Yes.
Because that's what it is, right? When you're an adventurer, when you're an adventurer of a reasonably high level, death is just, oh, I'm just here for a few minutes. It's cool. I'll be getting resurrected anytime now.
Yeah.
Catch you next time.
The supposed roadblocks that are there are weird and dumb. But yeah, you're right. When you get to a certain point in D&D, death stops being a meaningful consequence.
Yeah, like basically once you get Revivify. Like, I know that technically Revivify only works for a minute, but like it does, for that minute, more or less completely remove the consequences of death, which I
And
like
there's also
for a very small portion of people, right? This is only
There's
a thing for
also-
high-level folks.
there's also the first level spell Gentle Repose, where you basically press pause. So if you get to them within that first minute and cast that spell on them, it lasts for like a week. So if you can get to someone who has Revivify, it effectively is still within that minute that you press pause on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And that's like a first level spell.
And then you get to dead, and that where it extends that 1 minute to 1 week to 1 year, and then we get raised dead. We get resurrection, which is a century.
And then there's True Resurrection, which is
Whatever.
fuck it. As long as the soul is willing, they're coming the fuck back.
Yeah, I mean, it's 25,000 gold. And that's the other thing about Resurrection. Not that gold is a huge thing for you all at this time. Yeah, True Resurrection is 200 years, so long as the soul is free and willing, right?
Yeah, you don't even get a body for True
And that
Resurrection.
one straight up provides a new body. Yeah,
Yeah.
it just...
Whereas resurrection, you still need at least a part.
You need a piece, yes. And I'm going to be asking you, Jeff, to be thinking about what a resurrection cast by a shadow sorcerer looks like and how he is rebuilt, assuming it works and assuming he agrees and assuming all of that. What is it going to look like as his body is reformed?
I already have thoughts.
Okay,
So,
good. I had a
this is something
feeling you would.
This is something I have put thought into for a while.
Anything else before we move on to favorites and inspiration?
This was a fun session. I really
I
enjoyed
agree.
doing it.
I love non-combat sessions that are like where it's still a lot of interaction, still a lot of this fun stuff.
Yeah, this was a long time coming. I wish that I had, because I did a bunch of research on a bunch of like semi-obscure NPCs in Forgotten Realms, and then I didn't do my homework right before game, so I had to like look it up really quick. But it's fine.
If I had one criticism, something I would have done differently, just the one note to it is you want to have at least one or two people there who are belligerent assholes who are there because their boss is here.
Fair. That was Sebastian.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, but didn't make any
Belligerent,
impression.
yes.
I
Didn't make
was-
any impression. So
And speaking of which, I did promise that I would mention this again. Kelly McLaughlin, thank you very much for providing that cameo and for giving us permission to use it. You are an inspiration to me. I appreciate you. Also, Kelly sent me a separate video, which I also commissioned on Cameo, giving some advice for ending a long-term actual play campaign. And his main advice, which I'm definitely going to follow, and I already was, is really, I mean, the plot is going to end, and that's fine, right? We've got the tree, we've got Belak, we've got Magenthal, we've got Baba Yaga, but the real ending is the ending of your stories, right? The ending of the characters' stories, and moving on to their next chapter of whatever it is they do. So we're going to be putting a lot of focus on having good, satisfying endings for each character based on the story we've told so far, and both like at the end and in the epilogue, we're going to be really focusing hard on telling a good, satisfying wrap-up story for each character, which may or may not include, you know, eventual death. It may or may not include other adventures. We're not sure because I don't know what we're going to be doing after this campaign wraps.
If we're all even still here, and
if
the
you're all
world
even
is
still
in
here,
one
you still have
piece.
at least one very, very dangerous fight. And I do, and you know I do this, I do have contingencies for if that final encounter doesn't go well. When I say the world is going to change, I'm thinking like either Magic Punk Utopia or potentially Plant Monster Zombieland.
You know?
Right? like this could become post-apocalyptic. This could end up being the event that turns the world into a dystopia.
Yep.
On the next session.
I'd want to play a game set in this dystopia. That sounds rad.
Yeah, I mean, either way, it's going to be awesome, and I do want to run a game in either the Magic Punk Utopia or the Plant Monster post-apocalypse. But regardless,
a big criticism I have of Faerun is how paralyzed it is.
Yes.
So I would love to see any level of movement.
Yes, and that is why this is happening. Like, I thought way back when we did the Forge of Fury, I thought, okay, what is the... Because the module doesn't tell you what the Forge actually is or what it actually does. And I'm like, okay.
It's a MacGuffin.
The Forge of Fury, yeah, anything that can mass-produce magical items will change the world. And I'm just thinking, okay, how would that affect economies? How would that affect... And I just let my imagination go from there.
The chamber pots.
Exactly.
It is just a magic bucket made to look nice with stuff in it, and the magic just hits delete on unpleasant objects.
Imagine magical items being as ubiquitous as something like a smartphone is for us, which is a magic of a sort, right? So like I'm really, oh man, tomorrow 111 degrees in Carmichael tomorrow. 111 degrees. Absolutely disgusting.
Anyway,
I was in Phoenix for those kinds of numbers. No.
Yeah, no.
So let's go ahead, go around the table. Tell me what one of your favorite moments are. There were so many awesome moments there, but tell me one of your favorite moments. Tell me who you think gets inspiration. Let's start with Jen because I'm just going to go in reverse order from what we did in the intro.
Well, I guess favorite moments, I will say that the hand fasting part actually just reminded me of my own wedding, plural, because we did it twice. We did it like one with friends a year before the main wedding, and we used the hand fasting cords from the first one in the main wedding. So just the description of that just felt very,
inspired by a piece of Gail's artwork.
Warm and happy to me because I know them feelings. So inspiration totally goes to Olivia for the black and that whole thing. That was cool. Well done.
Yeah, well, and the fact that both of you, I think, used your inspiration on trying to get the bouquet, I believe. I think that's right.
No, because you used your inspiration on something else, didn't you?
I know Jeff used his.
I used mine in the bouquet.
But anyway, doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Let's go with Gail next. Favorite moment and who gets inspiration?
Yeah, I had a lot of fun. Being the Echo who's here to be political, and then Echo who's here to celebrate his friends, and then Echo who's here to maybe revisit some trauma, and then Echo who's here to support other people. It was really really fun to get to do all those different aspects throughout one session, especially coming off of a big almost entirely combat session beforehand. So it was really nice to dig the teeth in roleplay wise. I gotta give my highlight to Jen for not only playing Kreitha wonderfully, but also Clarion wonderfully, and going back and forth between the two. I really enjoyed getting into his cups Clarion and out of her depths Kreitha. They were both very wonderful.
I agree. Jeff, same questions?
I liked a lot of the scenes. I like getting. I always love being able to like wax Arcana with the dumb amounts of lore I know. So that was going into the Resurrection talk was a lot of fun. But I have to say, like just the being the only person there unabashedly just spamming magic was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Whether it be like just tormenting people or just like, fuck it, I'm an apex sorcerer here. Fuck everybody. But my favorite moment definitely came down to like the way we resolved the bouquet of the yay, I have it. Of like just like 20 feet off the ground.
Yeah.
As like it is strictly still rising towards Calder, but like, okay.
Shining like a disco ball of a goblin.
And while it wouldn't have ended up that way. It didn't end up that way. I love the mental image of Calder telekinetic holding up a flower, which is holding a rope, which is holding Echo and Kreitha and Stinky, because like you're like seeing
this is there randomly.
Seeing you being grabbed by Kreitha's legs, and like everyone, and yet all of them are off the ground because
I did have that for a moment. That would
because
have been
telekinesis can lift 1,000 pounds.
Yeah, that would have been absolutely.
Yeah, there's nothing that says you can't use telekinesis like a fly spell. Like you're literally allowed to move yourself.
You're limited to its speed, but yeah.
And inspiration.
Inspiration. Passing it to Olivia, because that like being like the thrust of each beat of the phases of this last session for the wedding.
Yeah.
Like Echo was at the core of each kind of part of it. So.
Yeah, looking
whether it be like jovial happiness or like political skullduggery or I'm gonna get the good bouquet. Leap.
Yeah, looking.
All of it was just kind of like beat to beat to beat.
Looking back at the whole of the wedding, I really enjoyed the diversity of themes and like how it's very happy. Aw.
I have a bunch of flowers in my room.
It's very happy at points, and then it got really scary for a second, and then it got really exciting, and then it got very nostalgic, and it got very happy again, and then there was a very somber scene down in the grove when you're finding the bones and just remembering the monster that Belak is and has been, and then coming back up and getting back into the party. Like, it really, there were a lot of different emotional pulls in this of emotional pushes and pulls in the last few sessions, and I really enjoyed that. It's always fantastic watching my players work. I'm gonna go ahead and give the inspiration to Gail, because you got the flower. You got the flower, you get the inspiration. Let's go ahead and go around one last time, do pluggables, and then get the heck out of here. Jen, where can people find you, follow you?
You can find me at the Swedish Geek Ball, also at winterroseartandillustration.com. And I do art, illustration. I haven't streamed in a little while, but I do some streaming on Discord under Swedish Geek Balls, the Geek Balls Kitchen. So got to get back into all that.
Yeah, I feel like I've definitely been pausing on making content as well. But I have a summer break now.
I got sick, and then we moved, and just so much stuff has happened that trying to get myself back into that situation has just been feeling fairly insurmountable. And we're also trying to set up a second computer that'll go in between me and my husband's computer that can be a streaming machine, so that I can stream with more confidence.
Yeah.
So that I'm not stressing about because some of the games I'm playing, my computer will play just fine. It will not stream.
I have been crashing a lot when trying to stream XCOM or Shadow of War. It's been rough, and I've got a beast of a computer, but it's been crashing when trying to play and stream at the same time. Jeff, why don't you tell us where we can find you and follow you?
You'll find me on various places, usually these days Instagram, because that's the only place I've been posting to lately. But also I've been known to do things over TikTok and so on. You'll find me at Still Tired and Angry at all the places.
And finally, last and certainly not least, Gail, tell us about your Tumblr.
I have a Tumblr, A Measure of Separation. It is misspelled. I'll be putting it in chat. And that's why I put fan art and link fanfics and also like animatics and stuff I make. Check it out. I'll probably do lots of cute things about people dancing at a wedding soon.
And oftentimes that art becomes or that fanfic becomes inspiration for canonical stuff that happens in the game. Definitely check it out. Very worthwhile. You can find me on Twitch, Twitter, and Blue Sky at Math Demigod. You can find the VODs of this very actual play as well as a bunch of other stuff over at youtube.com/gamingmathematically. Right now I am doing a Shadow of War campaign and another XCOM 2 campaign. They're both going at the same time. I'm monetized now, so, you know, go check it out and tell your friends, and super thanks if you like, and all that other good stuff. Thank you so much for watching. We will hopefully catch you in a couple of weeks, but you know how scheduling be. So until then, bye. Wow, I did not end that very well. Yeah, please stay hydrated and tip your servers, and goodbye. Wait, hitting the ending button. Okay, here we go.
And we are still recording, yes?